Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Avatar video. And in this one I'm just going to be talking a bit about the upcoming Free Comic Book Day Free Korra comic. So this video basically what I'm going to do is explain a bit about Free Comic Book Day for anyone who's unaware of what it is, how you can get your hands on the free comic, how you'll be able to read it and so on. And then I'll go into a little bit of speculation about what I think is going to happen in it at the end. But yeah, we'll start off with the whole idea of Free Comic Book Day. So Free Comic Book Day this year is going to be on May 7th. It is held the first Saturday every May. And basically, not every comic book store participates, only select ones. But realistically, if your local comic book store has any sort of social media presence, they'll probably have mentioned it at some point that they're participating in it. If not, go in and ask. I think a lot of them advertise if they're participating in the windows because the promo stuff is already in stores. So if your local comic book store is participating, a lot of stores do it differently on the day. So it comes around, Saturday, they open up. A lot of places, if your local comic book store is quite large, quite popular, there's probably going to be queues from basically the second they open, because a lot of people just see free stuff and queue up, and it's obviously the whole aim of the event really is to kind of get kids into comics, but obviously there's a lot of comics there that like collectors actually do want, because especially the Korra story and a few others, they're kind of completely unique stories rather than just preview books for actual books you can buy later. And there's a bunch of different books available. Like Marvel have some, DC have some. There's going to be a Pokemon comic. I think like Attack on Titan has one this year. One Punch Man. There's a bunch of different stuff from the various different comic places this time around, and so there's a little bit for everyone. I'll leave a link in the description to the Free Comic Book Day website where you can actually check out all the different comics that are available. But obviously for Avatar fans, the one that's most important to us is the second Dark Horse free comic, which is the kind of kids-focused comic. And that is obviously the one with the Korra image on the front, which you can see the cover here. So yeah, that's what you're going to be looking for come Saturday. And definitely, as I said before, if your comic book store is in any way popular, get there as early as possible to kind of guarantee you can get in there and get your book. Some comic book stores just have them kind of out on the shelves and you can just pick out the ones you want. Others, I think, do them in kind of like gift bag things so you don't fully know which books you're getting. So it's hard to know how exactly each store is going to do it. Some stores have events on the day, like comic artists, comic writers in signing, or just other various things. Then the other thing, if you're completely new to comics for the most part, not every comic book store in the store is going to be free. It is only the ones that specifically are marked as Free Comic Book Day logo free comics. It'll be pretty clear. Most comic book stores will have you, to actually get the free comics, they have to scan them through the till, because obviously comic book stores actually have to buy the free comics even though they're giving them out for free, because basically it's just a really good like marketing advertising day for comic book stores. So they do have to know like which ones you get and so on. So a lot of them will do that. So you can buy other comic book stores in the store along with your free comics, but everything has to be scanned through. That's basically how it works. It's one of those things, like there's been 3 Avatar free comics so far. I've only managed to get my hands on one. Admittedly, my local comic book store is pretty popular. It's like the most popular one in Ireland, basically. So it's kind of difficult to kind of manage like how early should I go to make sure I'm in line enough to guarantee I get one of the like 20-30 copies of the book that they're going to have. So that's that. Yeah, so for example, this is the 2014 free comic, Avatar free comic, which is Shells. So that's what it's going to look like. You can tell it's a free comic because it has the logo right there, and that's how you know it's free. It still has a barcode, obviously, because it has to be scanned through. And that's it. You can see there's also, Avatar's the cover story, but there's also a a little itty bitty Hellboy book as well as Juice Squeezers. I think this time round it's Korra, How to Train Your Dragon, which is a upcoming debuting series that Dark Horse are getting, How to Train Your Dragon comics, and also a Plants vs. Zombie story. So they're the three little stories here. The story's only probably going to be about 10, 12 pages. Even 12 is probably like pushing it. Like this book I have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 pages, this one. They only vary like a little bit more, a little bit less. So that's that. So yeah, I'm hoping I'll be able to get it. I'm going to do my best because I really, really want to get my hands on this first ever Korra comic. That's the big thing with this, is that we know there are actual proper Korra comics coming, but this is the first one that's going to be properly released. So it's definitely something I want to get in my collection. So like I'll be going as early as possible as I can to make sure I get this, so I can get a review out on the day and so on. So very quickly, the way I'm going to be covering this is that assuming I can get the free comic, if I do manage to actually get a copy myself, I will try my best to get pictures / scans up on the site avatarthelastairbender.online.com as soon as possible. And by as soon as possible, I mean, like, obviously I'm from Ireland, so if you're American, obviously, like, I am like a couple of hours, like morning for me when I'll actually go will be like middle of the night for most Americans. So realistically, by the time most Americans wake up, you'll know if I have or don't have the scans up. So I'll have a news post up if that's possible. If not, if I'm unable to get the book, I'm obviously going to be waiting on the first person to get scans up to obviously post it that way. But either way, you will see a post on the site that has the pages from the book. Because it's a free comic, because it's so hard to get, I don't mind putting the pages up on the site because it's just easier that way. So just be aware of that. Then I will probably do a brief video review for the comic, and then a much more in-depth podcast review will be done on Sunday, the day after Free Comic Book Day, which I will also do a video about, just linking you to where you can listen to that podcast review. It's obviously it'll be myself and some of the other hosts from the Avatar Online podcast doing that review, and it'll be much more in-depth than I can just do on my own as a... Basically, my video is just going to be initial reaction. That one will be a full-on, thought-out review. So, final thing I want to cover in this video is just some speculation about the book. Outside of the cover, we know very little about this book. It's been very surprising that they've just basically said nothing about this. They said nothing about this, said nothing about the actual Korra comics coming out. And as far as we're aware, these comics have been printed. The Free Comic Book Day books have been printed for a good couple of months now. So this story's been in place and done for a while. And we just still have no idea what it is. The cover leads us to believe that what the story is going to be about is we're finally going to get the story of how Korra and Naga first met. Now, the book 1 art book for Korra does basically give us a one-sentence description of how that story took place, in that it basically says, when Korra was young, she found like a Naga as a cub, whatever you want to call it, polar bear dog, it's hard to know which one's which for the baby name, but she found Naga basically separated from her own parents in the middle of a kind of winter tundra, you know, with a kind of blizzard storm type thing going on. And they basically formed a friendship, and they've been friends ever since. That's the basic idea, that just Korra finds Naga, who is lost, basically, and, you know, they become friends. That's all we know. So there's a lot of details that they still could go into. And for a little quick story that's going to be in around 10 pages, I think that story is kind of perfect to just briefly cover. I suppose the most interesting thing is going to be, is the whole comic just going to be a flashback, or are they going to frame the flashback in, like, Korra telling Asami or her friends that story? That's what's going to be interesting. Are they in any way going to use this free comic as a kind of preview lead in to the overall free comics. Like, I think a lot of people are perhaps hoping that what's happening here is that Korra is telling Asami this story while they are on their vacation in the spirit world, on their kind of, basically first date. That would be a pretty cool way to do it, to also lead into what's happening immediately afterwards in the upcoming actual Korra comics. But that would just be a really quick one-page thing, get straight into the story. Because of course, like, what you have to do is, one, this of course has to be set after Korra is known to be the Avatar, after the White Lotus have come and more or less set up the Avatar compound. It's going to be interesting if it takes place before or after the initial Red Lotus attempt to kidnap her. That obviously was fended off. So that's going to be the most, I think, interesting thing, to see if there's any sense of that timeline, if it's happened before or after. Because obviously this is going to be an interesting one in that at some point Korra is going to find herself alone outside of the compound and come across Naga separated from her own parents, and obviously see something like Naga's potentially injured. She helps her, she brings her back to the compound, and I assume the story, the fun of the story is going to be everyone else's reaction to the fact that Korra has befriended this polar bear dog, which in Water Tribe culture, as far as we're aware, they are considered vicious wild animals that can't be tamed. So this is a kind of first ever thing for Korra here. I'm interested to see if we get any Tonrock, any Senna reaction to this, if we even get any of the Red Lotus, the White Lotus teachers' reaction to it. Like, is Katara around teaching Korra here, or what? Like, this Tenzin perhaps, That's what I'm interested to see. Will they do anything about the whole idea of an Avatar's spirit animal, and like make that sort of connection that this is beyond just a human-animal friendship, that there's something more to it here, that the Avatar friend, spirit animal, the Avatar spirit animal is a reincarnation of Wan's animal friend, Mula. Is that going to be a thing? We're not really sure. But that's really all there is to speculate on, because we know nothing. We didn't get preview pages. The description just says, go on a journey with the Avatar in The Legend of Korra. So to some extent it's going to be a little journey, her heading out of the compound. I assume it's going to be her sneaking out, coming across Naga, or what. They're not going to do anything crazy, because these stories are meant to very much appeal to kids to get them into Avatar comics, so it's not going to be anything like super deep. I think a fun little story of a young 5-6-year-old Korra becoming friends with a cute polar bear dog is perfect for kids and what the fans want. So that's my speculation. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on Free Comic Book Day, what you expect from this upcoming Korra comic, and that sort of thing. But other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.